He is actually my boyfriend, and we're going to be talking a little bit about dating and relationships while being in OT school, and just our dating life a little bit. And I hope that this will encourage you in some way and will give you some input as to how to have a successful relationship in general. The way that this is going to work tonight is we've come up with a set of questions for each other, and I'm going to go ahead and read the questions that I've come up for him, and then he's going to go ahead
and take over. I'm going to take over the place, y'all. I'm going to be the OT genius.
You wish. All right. No, I love him. So, anyway, okay, so, all right, let's get now down to business, guys. What makes our relationship work?
Well, first and foremost, I like to say that everything in the basis starts with faith. Faith is the most important thing in every single person's. I know in my life, and I know in your life too, especially how we met, faith plays a huge role and is a big aspect of how we live, so I believe in something that's greater than me, and I personally believe that someone 2,000 years ago has died so that I could have an abundant and free life. In doing so, I remember that it has helped me become an accountant. It has helped me go through business school, and it has helped me along the way through everything that I have done within this living. Also, it was one of the key things that has led me to hope for my OT genius right here.
Oh my God. So yeah, he's cheesy as heck. Like, if you think I have to deal with this for I don't even know how long now. Like, the reason why we're even doing this, guys, is because yes, we wanted to inspire you all and hope that this is a blessing for you all in some way, shape, or form. But in honor of our 1-year anniversary tomorrow, and so yeah, I totally agree. Our faith has definitely helped our relationship, and it's what brings us together. And in addition to that, I think there's a lot of things that make our relationship work. I think that our ability to communicate with one another is something that has helped us a lot, and something that I think is essential, an essential skill that any OT is going to need to just build. I think communication is just an essential skill that any OT should have, and if you're going to be in a successful relationship, it's a skill that you're going to need to learn to have a successful marriage or a long-term relationship. So I think that communication is another thing, in addition to our faith, that has helped us drastically in our time together. I don't know if you want to add anything else to that, but that to me has been key for us.
Absolutely. Another thing is getting a vibe for people. We're both business people. We're both entrepreneurs. We're business people. And I like to deal with business people. And in doing so, one thing is also listening, being able to listen. Sometimes not listening verbally, but listening behind. Like, what is a person saying behind what's going on? And picking up these cues, picking up these vibes, and being able to listen to what the other person has to say plays a huge role on how we've been navigating our relationship this whole time. And surrounding ourselves with positive people.
For sure.
And like she's always talking about that. Guys, she be talking about that every single week.
Yeah,
you gotta surround yourself with positive people.
Yeah, man, positivity is everything, man. If you can't believe, look, we already have a confidence issue with ourselves a lot of times, and if the people in your lives are not inspiring you or challenging you to be better, then what's the point? I have another question for you. So a lot of times, as we know, we can get involved in toxic relationships. That's obviously something that a lot of us deal with, and it can have an impact in our academics, our career goals, and what we want out of life. So how do you, or what advice do you have for people in a toxic relationship right now?
One thing about toxicity, guys, first and foremost, we just talked about being surrounded around positive people. So if someone is hindering you from being positive, someone's stealing away your vibe because of certain things, you need to do one thing: assess your situation, okay? Now, like I said, I'm a person of faith. I bring it in the church, in the house. So I'm telling you, as Pastor Moise, that you need to get involved with your faith. No, but seriously though, seek Seek advice, either spiritual advice, get in tune with what's deep inside of you, okay? And then reach out to others who care about you, all right? Be it a parent, a friend, and even a classmate or a teacher, somebody who has your best interest in mind and in heart. And then if, depending on how toxic the relationship is, if it's toxic that you could talk to the person and let the person go, not to burn too many bridges, but let the person go, hey, let it happen. But if it's toxic to a point where the person is violent or it can come at you a certain way, first, take martial arts. But other than that, no. But seriously though, try to find a medium where you are in a safe place and to get that out of your life. Because at the end of the day, your mind, especially since you guys are going to OT school, you guys are going to be business people, you guys are going to be taking on the world, your mind is the most important thing. And being around toxicity will destroy your mind. You
put it so perfectly. Thank you so much. My personal advice as to people that are toxic, if you're involved in a toxic relationship, is to remind yourself too of what this means for your future. Okay, like your future and your personal well-being surpasses this other person's anything. Like that person should not be a stumbling block for your success and for your goals. So if it means to cut them off because they are being toxic and you're being verbally abused, emotionally abused, and that can take a toll on your reaching your goals to get into OT school and having the OT career that you want. So if it means for your own well-being, your happiness, and your success, if that means to cut them out, then I say cut them out. Better earlier than later, and because the later it gets, the more difficult and complicated things can get. And I've seen people, the only reason why they stay with them is even through an abusive type of relationship, is because they've just been together for so long and that they have not gotten together, or they don't know anything. They don't know anything else but that, and that infringes on their ability to become the person that they were created to be. So
and also understand that that person doesn't have your best interest in heart. He has their own personal interest. And if someone has their own personal interest and not your interest, it's not worth having. You got to think about you. You're number one. There's no better business than you.
What is your earliest memory? Now we're going to get a little bit more on our personal story here, but what is your earliest memory about you supporting me or being there for me as I started OT Genius?
I remember the genesis of OT Genius. Jessica first had, last year, about a year ago from this very day, she had her own other business. Okay.
It wasn't a business, guys. It really was not a business. It was,
okay.
I didn't have a single client, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
One client, and it was a legitimate organization. I'm not going to give the name of it because I don't want no one to be looking you up to the states. But it was a legitimate organization, but she was thinking about you guys, and she said, "I know the challenges of what it is to be in an OT," and so she came to me and said, "You know, babe, I'm thinking about doing this thing where I'm helping OT students get into OT school." And me, I already had an established business by then, and I was already gaining my clients. And so she just bounced that idea off of me. Obviously, she's gonna do what she wanna do. All right, she's gonna do what she wanna do. So I was either go on board or just be silent. I was either gonna go on board or be silent. But the best thing I did was said, okay, yeah, do it. I like your idea. It was a great idea. It was thinking about you guys right now. She's helped so many of you guys. I've heard stories about all these people who have been helped due to OT Genius. And I said, yeah, make it happen. And OT Genius even changed my life. I don't want to admit it, but it did kind of sort of change my life.
Describe what it's like to date an OT.
Okay, here's a story. I know she didn't want me to tell this, but I'm going to be telling it. There's a few times, like if I'm showing my hands right now, the OT would pop out and say, "Oh, look at your phalangitis picture," whatever OT word that is. I'm not OT smart. But she just say, "Look at your finger bones."
I talk about his range of motion, guys. Like, that's like, okay, he has like the perfect 90-degree angle. Like, sorry, like I'm OT nerding out right now.
Perfect.
But
Perfect. Or when I'm walking, like, you know, sometimes I'll be walking, you know, I'll be like, you know, just like, look at your posture. Look at your posture.
Your ergonomics.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what? Origami?
Origami.
Ergonomics, origami, geometrics.
Okay, wait. In case if you don't know what ergonomics is, let me backtrack a little bit. Ergonomics is the study of basically correct body posture in the work environment and everything that you do. It's how you use your body and your positioning basically in the workplace. And we're really big on that, on having the desk at the proper height, your feet planted at the proper positioning and all that sort of stuff.
So that's how it is. So babe, let me ask you a question. How is it like dating an accountant? Business advisor, accountant.
You love spreadsheets. Because he's an accountant and I'm starting to make, you know, like some revenue off of OT Genius from the students that I've been helping and whatnot, I send him some of my information and stuff, and he just like has to put everything on a spreadsheet. And like I get these spreadsheets at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and he's there just like, this is so much fun. Like, I love spreadsheets.
Make me sound like Poindexter. I'm not Poindexter. Don't let the glasses fool you. I still got street cred.
What advice do you have for our viewers here that are in relationships to reach their goals as a couple?
Well, first and foremost, it comes upon with the basis of understanding, okay? We already talked about how faith plays a big role in our relationship. So the next thing is being able to listen to what each other wants in life, dreams, goals, and ambitions, and being the next pillar there to support the other person in doing so. So that means in any time that, you know, you may have you may want to do something, that we're there to support each other, to make sure that we're listening to one another, as already mentioned, but also just doing so and surrounding ourselves with just people, our friends who love us individually and corporately.
I think that one of the best ways to reach your goals as a couple is to basically work together. You guys are a team, and I think that that's really the most important thing to remember, is that the second you get into a long-term relationship is to basically remember that it's no longer about you, and that it's about both of you working toward a common goal. For the last question that I have for you is, how do you make a long distance relationship work? I want to tackle that because I'll tell you something, Moise, and I know I mentioned it to you briefly, but some of you may know that OT schools sometimes in certain areas are very limited. And a lot of times too, especially if you're married or if you are in a long-term relationship, you have very limited choice, and that may mean you moving either out of state, or it may mean you moving to a city that's like few hours away. So how do you think that, or what advice do you have to make a long distance relationship work? Or like, how do you think a long distance, even, marriage can work if they want to like really go to OT school and there's just separate goals, but then they unite, or like, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Well, let's talk a little bit about that.
You understand, like after I sold my house, we were kind of in a long distance relationship too. We were like over three hours apart almost. And basically, it all comes with, number one, patience. Understand that you guys have a goal, all right? And you're working towards a goal. And so patience is one of the big things. But you do know that eventually that you guys will come together again. And
hold on, let me check out. Sorry, babe. I'm trying to see the comments.
And then there's a goal that you guys will be together again. So in understanding that you guys will be again, it's always temporarily. Keep it in mind, it's very temporary. And even during the time, you could always come up with ideas like, we're going to meet each other at this time, at this place, we'll meet halfway, we will see each other. It's easier when you're married because you can go to each other's homes or wherever person's staying together. If you're not, you don't want to shack up or whatever, you don't want to do the non-church thing, but you just want to just be with each other, find a meeting ground, a meeting place. Have like a mini vacation, you know, and you just get with each other at least every week and every other week. And video is amazing.
Video is so awesome.
Yeah, video is,
yeah,
guys, videos, honestly, like that is it helps a lot.
I think that video definitely helped us during that time. And I also want to just bring this up. If you are in a committed relationship and want, like, your only option is to go to another school that's far away, is to basically, I want you to look at flex programs out there for OT school. There are flex programs out there. And what that means is that program only meets, is kind of like a hybrid, and only meets about once or twice a month. So that means that you only have to travel about once or twice a month to go to your schooling and get the education that you need to advance your career. So you don't necessarily need to sacrifice your relationship. If a flex program is something that you think will work for you, then that definitely is an option as you look into programs. If you are already you know, in a very long committed relationship, living with someone, or married or engaged, all that stuff, and you don't want to leave your significant other behind, I think flex programs are a very good option to look into. So your turn, babe. What questions do you have for me?
It's my turn. So what do you like most about how I support you in OT Genius?
Really, just your support in general. Like, you've been the most supportive person, and I honestly, out of all the relationships that I've ever had, I don't think I have found anyone as supportive as you. Like, none of the people that I've dated in my past, I don't think would have supported me in these endeavors like you have. And I think too that support says a lot about our relationship and what we're striving for. And I also think that there is a lot to be learned from that, because a lot of times we'll get in relationships with people that we just honestly don't have our best interest again, and we they can be selfish, but that has not been the case with us. Like, you've been there for me every step of the way, and as you guys look into programs, as you guys go through your OT journey, that's what you guys are also going to need, is people that are going to support you emotionally, physically, spiritually, relationally, as you go through OT school. Like, that's just so important. That person's not being that for you, then that's something really highly to consider as you progress in your relationship with them. So look at how they support you. Like, you know, I've been very keeping my eyes open, and that's what he's done for me. Like, and yeah, I mean, I could just keep on going about how supportive you've been.
She talk about strong man. Oh. But let's get away from strong man now. So, okay, now you do know, babe. Well, there have been times where we've had our differences.
Yes.
So how do you handle, or what do you suggest to couples and how they handle differences in relationships?
Hold on, there's a question. Sorry, I'm going to answer your question, but I want to answer this viewer's question here. What do you think about date nights when you're in OT school, but you're always busy studying? Ooh, that is a good question. Okay, I'm going to share a quick story. At the time, I wasn't dating Moise, sorry, but I was dating someone else. And I remember we were going to go for a run in a marathon. During that marathon, or not a marathon, a 5K. It was a 5K. And I remember being on the, having the book during the 5K. I'm not joking. Like, we just somehow made it work. And I remember too, even sacrificing 1 or 2 date nights because I had to study. And that's why I think it's so important to just have somebody that is understanding and supportive of your goals, and understanding is just going to be critical during OT school, because if you can't do date night, then you can't do date night. That exam that you have the next day is a lot more important at that moment, because you know, if you are playing your cards right and you're with this person and you are supporting one another, there are going to be other date nights. You guys can postpone the date night for after your exam. So it's really about communication, and I think it's about just working together to support one another in your endeavors and communicating and making that date night work. If you have to study, then you have to study. You know, like, your education is a priority, because then you're going to be bawling later about how you didn't pass, and the one that's going to be upset is not going to be your significant other. You know, it's going to be you. So
no, she pointed to me when she was with that other dude. Y'all said, the one who's not gonna think, it's not gonna be. It's not.
Jane Arias, I hope that answers your question. I think that was a great question. And I know that, babe, you asked, what do I suggest for when people have differences in their relationships? I think that differences can be resolved with patience. I think patience is key. Like you can see, he's all sorts of quirky. He thinks that he's funny. A lot of times I tell him not to go into stand-up, you know, because, like, don't quit your day job. Don't go into stand-up, because you try too hard. But we just have patience with one another. We bear with one another. I think that with that said, I really think that you have to just have that understanding. I really don't know how to say it. I think patience, kindness, perseverance, love, respect, all of that is what's going to lead for you guys to work out any differences that you have as you pursue your career goals and educational goals and grow together as a couple.
Speaking of growth, so I know you've gone to a few conventions with me and without me. So what's the difference, and how do you take the differences between going with me and going without me, or going with someone who supports you as a partner and someone who doesn't? How's the feeling different?
It is different. So I went to AOTA conference with my best friend, or one of my best friends, because I have a few best friends. I don't want to just say she's my, but no, I went to AOTA with one of my best friends, Christy Bertrand. I went to AOTA in Chicago a few years ago with one of my closest friends. She and I had a great time. I think that one of the things that made it work, or made it just different, was the fact that, I mean, I didn't have my significant other there. Like, Christy and I were already OTs, and we knew that both of us were going there for our to increase our knowledge in regards to our profession and to gain a little bit more experience, network, all that sort of stuff. But I think it's so critical to have a significant other too. This is just my opinion. You guys don't have to do this, but I think it just adds value when your significant other comes with you to a conference or a convention, whether it's AOTA or in, you know, here in Florida, we have the Florida Occupational Therapy Association convention as well. And that will allow your significant other to basically have a better idea of what it is that you do, better understanding as to what your goals are professionally, and it will allow you to have just better communication as to what you even do as an OT. Like, he has told me that he now has a better understanding of what OT is because of everything that I do and my communication with him. Like, I don't keep him apart from my career, so to speak. You grow together. I'll say this much real quick, and then we'll move on to the next question. I remember, like, this is the very first thing that comes to mind. I remember that we went to my mentor's place, Greg Todd's. He's a physical therapist, and he mentors me. although he's a PT, he gives me great advice, and he is my business coach and mentor, right? Like, that's what he is to me. And he told me, Jessica, I know you're in a relationship with Moise. I want you to bring him to this business retreat that we're having. And he said that the reason why he wanted me to bring him was because if I'm going to succeed with OT Genius, if I'm going to succeed in my career, he needs to understand where I'm coming from and what I'm doing. And so like that, we can be there to support each other. And so if there's something professionally that he wants to do, like, I will try my very best to be there for him, and vice versa. And he's been there for me. So yeah.
And actually, that's one of the things that helped change, because I had a broad view of how I was going to do my business and service my clients. And after that trip, that retreat, I've now been able to narrow my client base. And so I've been helping a lot of PTs and OTs and a lot of other therapists reach their financial goals in their accounting. So it's one hand strengthening the other, as iron sharpens iron. So does one person sharpen another, especially in relationships. So tell us about, now, what is your take on dating with a purpose versus just dating for the sake of dating, and how does that affect your career goals? So let's talk about first, what is dating with a purpose? How do you describe dating with a purpose?
Okay, so to me, that basically is you guys have a common goal, whether that is to you guys agree on we're going to move in together and have a long-term committed relationship, or whether you guys want to get married, whatever that is. Like, there's a purpose behind it. You're not dating just because, like, oh, but like, I just, like, he's cute and she's cute or whatever. Like, let's just see where this goes. Like, yeah, you have to see where things go. Like, that's part of dating, obviously. But dating with a purpose is just very different in the sense that there's a common goal being worked towards, whether it's long-term. It's not like casual. It's not casual, like, oh, well, we're just hanging out and we're just seeing where things are going. Like, both people have communicated that they want to work towards something. And how does that affect our career goals and educational goals?
Yes.
So I think that the way that it's been different for me, like, I technically have always wanted to date with a purpose, which is how we even ended up together. But I think that it can impact your goals, because if you're just dating whoever because he's cute or she's cute and you're just trying to fit it and there's no real purpose behind it, then you're bound to get hurt. Obviously, if you're dating with a purpose, like, that is still possible. But I feel like you set yourself up more for failure for the relationship and for your career goals to get, even jeopardized because of the emotional hurt that's going to come in, and because of the turmoil that a breakup can cause. You are not working together towards some sort of goal or common purpose.
In my take of casual dating is you want to date for a reason. I know I when I was dating, or when I was out in the field, whatever, in the field, special ops, out in the field. No, but honestly, when I started, before Jessica ever came into the picture, there were times where I would see somebody, and it would just be a waste of time. You kind of want to have everything set up. You want to have, I know that I didn't want to waste my time. I wasn't going to waste my time. I wanted to find somebody who I was attracted to, who I really liked, who saw the world in a very similar way, or someone who I can grow with. And that's what I really wanted. And I think it added a lot of value to my life, as opposed to, like, there are times where I did waste time. I did waste time with some people because, oh, she's pretty hot, she's pretty cute. Next thing you know, I go up, I wake up like 2-3 months later, like, man, what was I doing with my time? So you need to tell us now about, now we talk about time. It's important about time in school. I was a teacher, I was a college professor, and I always told my students, time is the most valuable asset that you can have. So tell me about, or tell all of us about dating while being in OT school, and what do they expect?
In the very, very beginning, this is my personal story. In the very, very beginning of OT school, was when I had a boyfriend. And I basically ended up in a very toxic relationship with this person because this person did not fit in well with my family. It was all, honestly, in my opinion, just very, very fake, and our views were not similar. And I remember coming back from our student conference. We had a student conference for OT students, and we broke up that same day. I realized that that was the best thing that could have happened to me, because I was better able to focus on my studies. And I think that that's what led to my success. Like, thankfully, I was only in that relationship in the very, very beginning. Like, I think, so I started OT school in August, I remember, of 2014, and we broke up in November. So we were just together that very first semester, pretty much. And my grades were still good, but I just remember not being happy and just being in a relationship because it was like the thing to do. And because, you know, like, everybody else in OT school is now getting married and has their boyfriends, and I don't know what it was about my personal cohort, but it seemed like everybody was in a relationship. I was one of the single ones. About singleness, just enjoy it. For real, grow, become the person that you see yourself with. Try to become that person. If you want to be with someone that's kind, be kind to others. If you want somebody that is patient, start practicing patience. Yeah, that's a little bit about my dating life. I just dated in the very beginning, and during OT school, I went on a few dates, and it was just very, you know, did the whole Tinder thing, Bumble, whatever, swipe right, swipe left, but nothing really came. Yeah, that was a little bit about my dating life back then during OT school. You still have you're able to have a life during OT school, so you can date if you wish. You know, I was dating, I had a job, and I was in OT school. It's possible if you learn certain time management skills, and, you know, if you want to talk more about time management, feel free to message me. Yeah, single life, for real. That was good too. This is awesome. This is really, really awesome. Like, I love him, you know, but I enjoyed my singleness. You know, like, hey.
It was good. I was able to focus on my school and get all the things I need to get done too.
Is that not important?
Yeah.
Okay then. It is possible. Don't think that OT school is going to consume every aspect of your life. I want you to enjoy the journey, and I think that's the most important thing. So I hope that we were able to encourage you in some way, in some shape or form, and be either an inspiration, a blessing, or help you out in some way, encourage you to do something that is, you know, either different or change your perspective a little bit about what it's like to be dating either in OT or during OT school, all that stuff, give you a little bit of insight. I hope that this has helped you some way, somehow. I will see you.